Hey SEOs and content marketers, say goodbye to crazy spreadsheet mashups and experience unprecedented connectivity between your SEO planning and reporting data. Introducing Audience Key, technology for keyword mapping, content brief automation, and rank tracking that form an SEO strategy system providing unparalleled feedback loops between planning, reporting, and optimization activities. Put your time and energy into strategy, not data upkeep. Visit audiencekey.com and apply for a free trial today. Hey everyone, welcome to Webcology here on WMR. It is it's actually the 21st of March, 2025. This is Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media and Christine Schackinger from Sites Without Walls.
Hey everybody.
And it's been another one of those weeks. Been a really, really busy week in search, in technology, and in the politics of technology. We're going to start on the politics and move into the actual, the fun stuff, the stuff that we actually started our career going and working on. Before we do, we gotta thank our sponsors, Audience Key and Wix Studio. And I know we've been promising to have Audience Key has a couple new improvements to the product. We are going to get them coming in to talk about it really soon. Also want to note, this time next week, SEO charity. Actually, next Thursday, next week, SEO charity. Check out SEO for Pause. Incredible little mini conference. Thursday, Christine speaking at it, Thursday the 27th. Join, donate, and learn a hell of a lot from a hell of a lot of good people.
Yes.
Okay, so core update still rolling along. It started about 2 weeks ago. Google said it may take about 2 weeks to complete. Actually, did Google say it would take a month to complete?
No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
It should be done next week.
Yeah, we got to be getting close to the edge.
Yeah.
People are seeing immediate effects of the rollout. If you have or haven't seen the effects, doesn't necessarily mean you've been affected, but I'm seeing positive effects, so I like to think I'm being affected.
Yeah, I'm not working on any clients that need to recover right now. I'm working on clients that will recover future ones, but not this current one. Those are from last year. But I did see one client I'm not currently working with, but apparently I still have access to their GSC, and they just had a massive spike, straight up hockey stick. So
Good.
People don't take out their GSC. So.
Well, honestly, I mean, you're a technical SEO, so I'm assuming the work that you did with that other client had to do with crawlability and making the information as open and available as possible.
But it was a while ago. It wasn't like recently. So.
Well, indeed, but if that was what you were doing back then, and they continued doing what you were doing, this is kind of how that pays off, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Especially if it's a core update, because core updates are very overwhelmingly technical. So if you fix your technical issues, you often find that's enough to recover from one.
Well, and that's the reason I'm assuming that's why this client of yours in particular was successful. That's for the last year and a half, 2 years, really what I've been concentrating on heavily, especially with my e-commerce clients.
Yeah.
Especially on the headless e-commerce sites. You need to, crawlability is everything, including in the newer environment. You ain't getting read by either the original AI crawlers or the crawlers that consider information on the fly to try to remove false information from generative results. You ain't going to get in either of those unless your site can be crawled.
Right.
So,
if you want AI overviews, SEO is the way to go. When people are like, geo, no, it's still all SEO. Oh, yeah, all SEO. So let's
well, no, that I did, I came across this really cool thing while looking at a researching client placements in AIO, both in the Google environment and also in Microsoft's Copilot. The way that links to sections of pages that are cited in the overview or in Copilot, look at the way the links are phrased. And I found definitely in the Gemini world, in AI overviews, the first 5 words and the last 5 words of the phrase that is being referenced are used in the hash, the part of the URL that says go to this part of the page specifically.
Yes.
This is not information that helps you in any way manipulate how to get in there, but this could be a way to track what information of yours is being used as a reference and what isn't being used as a reference. It was a neat discovery, and since I saw that, I've been looking at them obsessively, and it's every time the first 5 words, the last 5 words.
Oh, that's really interesting. I'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that. I haven't seen that yet. So.
Now, here's the thing: I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to use this to track. But honest to goodness, I mean, who there's a bunch of other senior SEOs who are much smarter than me, so they know how to do it. I'm just going to talk to them. Um, okay, so Google Business Profiles fixed the re-verification bug.
Yeah, so there was a bug in Google Business Profiles that showed up. Do you have the date in front of you? Because I thought I had it. I do not. um, but it was this past week, and they said they implemented a fix for it. Google did, and that the issue was causing a spike in re-verifications for some accounts last week. And Google team identified the root issue and implemented a fix that has taken full effect as of March 20th, so yesterday. So if you're having problems with verification, they kept asking you to re-verify and re-verify. That's just because of the bug, and you should be able to go back today. And well, when you get this Monday or Tuesday, you should be able to go back and get that taken care of.
People using Bing Webmaster Tools might have been noted that yesterday it was down for hours. This would have been on March the 20th. It's back up and rolling again, but
Is it? I don't know. I couldn't get confirmation. Oh yeah, you're right. It is. 3 p.m. yesterday. It was back. It was back up.
and speculation was this had something to do with rolling out Copilot results and Copilot information in Bing Webmaster Tools.
Yeah, and they rolled it out to a lot of places, so I think it something broke when they did the major rollout. So, but it is all fixed as of 3 yesterday. But if it didn't get to your tools yesterday, that would be why. Also, if you don't have Bing on a site, you really should add it because it gives you lots of cool information that Google doesn't. Also, if you have a downturn and it's in both Bing and Google, you know you have a site issue. If it's only down in one or the other, then you have an algorithm issue.
And also 2 words. I mean, Bing Webmaster Tools, there are 2 words why you absolutely need it. Index now.
Yes, Index Now. It's available in like WordPress. I think even automatically does it now. Yoast Tools has it as well. But Index Now is where you set up a sitemap with certain URLs and not all your URLs that you want to get indexed quickly, and they go out there to all the browsers and engines that shouldn't say browsers engines that are on Index Now. Google says that they're still testing it. They've been testing it a long time, but I actually think they might use it in testing it live. I've
There's
seen some of evidence of that.
there's anecdotal evidence that that Google is now using it, in that Index Now will get you very quickly will get full sentences, full paragraphs into ChatGPT's generative stream. And I think it was Kevin Indig who did this experiment with Gemini and also recreated it in Gemini. So that's anecdotal evidence that Index Now is being used by Gemini, because that's absolutely the reason they were able to get into ChatGPT and into Copilot so quickly.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes
Which
sense.
was apparently confirmed by Fabrice Cannell. So,
Yeah, that's another story we have a little bit down the grid.
oh, we're actually talking about that later. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get to that then, won't we?
We'll get to that. Yes, we need to have Fabrice back on the show soon too to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I mean, we need to, there's so much has changed. It's been almost a year since he's been on. Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I think a year this month.
Okay. So, um, long and short of all of that is Big Webmaster Tools is back up. Go to it, folks. Um,
Yes.
so a funny thing happened on the way to school yesterday. The
What's that?
the education department was downsized radically. In what had to be the stupidest press conference I've seen in my life, or press event I've seen in my life, or Trump
Oh,
recreates a
gosh.
classroom and has a whole bunch of kids
Oh, yes.
signing bills that look just like the one he's signing, except their signatures look better than his. Which must have been very embarrassing.
And it was in the East Room, which is usually reserved for very, very high value events like the passing of a president while they lie on state.
Well, I can tell you, somebody was very high when they came up with that idea.
Yeah,
So,
because for those who don't know, he was in the East wing or the East Room with a bunch of kids around him, like he's a teacher, and they're all on desks in a half circle with all these flags behind him as he signs the bill to kill education and has them fake sign the bill as well.
well, yeah, to move education from it being a federal responsibility into a state responsibility, except of course when it comes to student loans, which are going to be
Still
the
going. You
reason
still
the
have to pay
Department of
some.
Education continues to exist, actually.
Yeah, and actually, so people know because a lot of times I think we need to do a little civics education because it just doesn't happen here anymore. The Board of Education does not set curriculum in states. That is all done by the states. It's actually illegal for the Board of Education to set curriculum. But they do things like send money for kids who have special needs. That program was killed yesterday. So if you have a child with special needs in the United States and you are getting special help in the classroom for that child, the money is no longer there. This is also not legal because Congress controls the purse, not the president. But it has to go through the courts to find out what's going to happen and if he's going to respect the orders. But the thing about the Board of Education is it funds many of the programs, especially in states that probably did not vote for a blue candidate. I mean, they're the highest users of the money. So kids with special needs, kids with disabilities, kids who need IDP in the classroom, kids who need special transportation. If you're in a rural area and you need transportation because you're very far from the school, all those kind of things are controlled by the Board of Education. All of those were just killed yesterday. So people should be aware. This also affects STEM programs too. There's a lot of magnet schools for STEM programs. Part of the reason we're covering it is because tech needs people that know tech to do tech or science or math. Those programs will also be affected. It's hard to know exactly how badly in each state because now each state has to pick up the funding for it. But since most states that need it the most don't have any of that funding, those programs will probably be canceled.
Or
So
state taxes will raise. I mean,
it's a
that's
lot.
honestly, if you don't have the funding, where do you get the funding? You raise
Yeah,
taxes, or
but
you
the
just
state
don't care about it anymore.
Yes, the state has to care about it and probably won't. The other thing too is there's federal requirements that every student has to have access to a school, that all schools have to be free. What they're going to do is after doing what they've done is try to push private and charter schools, which are not for charter schools are a public-private partnership, so they can be effective. But the private schools, you get a discount for being wealthy enough to pay for a private school. There is no access for people who are in the middle class or below, and so your students will not have to be um, provided an education for free if this stands, because the Board of Education is what enforce that.
The
So
Department of Education.
yeah, sorry, I keep saying board, I mean department.
Yeah,
Sorry,
board local.
it's early for me today.
State level is I'm not sure what they call it. State level, non-existent. Not quite existent. The I'm sure state departments of education are massive. But
Yeah,
the federal Department of Education took care of what have to be nationalized, standardized programs, and as Christine pointed out, funding for STEM, funding for science, funding for math, funding for the
art.
very high levels of research, or the training that goes into high level research. That's um in the ether right now.
Yeah, those will
And that's
be
unfortunate.
defunded. If you live in
That's
like a state like California is like the fifth largest economy in the world, they'll probably be able to make up for things in their budget because their budget runs actually at a surplus, not a deficit. But if you're living in Louisiana or Mississippi or the Carolinas or any of those states in the South that don't have money, you're going to find a lot of these programs are going to be cut. So It's very unfortunate for those people, especially those children who deserve an education, but no longer will be have anyone to enforce that they get that education they deserve.
This is this is a dystopic future, but I think it was kind of made clear by the denial of French researcher, a French scientist who's denied U.S. entry after a phone message on a message on his telephone.
Yeah, so this happened the first term too. They would check messages and social media accounts at the border. People would like friends we know if they're coming to the US, they would bring a burner phone and they would, not have any of their accounts logged into there on that phone. So they basically went through the French scientists' um, comments, and he was saying that actually, this is what he said this about the killing of funding for like science and research. This measure is apparently taken by the American authorities because the researchers found this. I'm sorry, this is from the Guardian. Research found because it contained exchanges with colleagues and friends in which he expressed a personal opinion on the Trump administration's research policy and freedom of speech and freedom of opinion, free research and academic freedoms are values that will continue to proudly uphold. I will defend the right of all French researchers to be faithful to them while respecting the law. This is Baptiste.
Philippe Baptiste, France's Minister of
Yes,
Higher Education and Research.
yes, and that was published in Le Monde. So, so basically, he just criticized the government, the Trump administration for what they've done to defund research and science, and because of that, he was denied his entry into the country. Kind of a
Now,
violation of the
just
First
to
Amendment.
note, he was denied entry while traveling to Houston just for a conference. So you have a French researcher, an academic, traveling to speak at a conference or attend a conference. At a point of entry into the United States, his phone gets seized by Customs Immigration. On the phone, they find a message critical of the Trump administration's policy of defunding science. They interpret that to be hostile to Trump and to America, and they deny him access. This is happening with a much greater frequency. There are stories of there are stories of people with perfectly legal reasons to enter the United States being taken and put in detention centers for days or even weeks at a time.
Yes, there was
And
oh, go ahead.
well, we're gonna have to question this eventually. We'll probably talk about this in greater length on another show, but like eventually we have to wonder how many conferences can be safely held in the United States and who can attend these conferences.
No,
I
let's get
can't.
to that. There was a German woman who was held for 46 days in San Diego. Or no, sorry, yeah, San Diego. They never told her why. She didn't have a translator and she didn't speak English well enough to ask the questions. She wasn't given even the right of like a phone call when they brought her in. She was released, but no one has ever told her why she was detained for the 46 days in jail. Also, there was another German person who had come over, and they were held for 16 days under the same types of conditions. So there are now warnings, travel advisories. Well, it's a travel warning advisory. I forget the stages. But
There are travel advisories that have been sent by the German, French, and British governments.
yeah, and
Um,
they're not the one where they're like, don't go, but they're like, if you're going, you better be careful and mind your P's and Q's. So this is going, I do know from living in Vegas, this is already affecting tourism in Vegas. I'm sure it will affect us very much. But now many countries are telling people not to come to the United States.
well,
It's
again,
just,
at what point does this affect thing like large scale conferences?
yeah,
Can they be
that's right.
safely held in the United States? If somebody expressed a political opinion in their own country, might they be denied entry in the United States if that political opinion runs contrary to what the Trump regime believes?
Well, it's kind of like when you go to China, they tell you to like bring a burner laptop and a burner phone. We're going to become that real quick, I think, unfortunately.
Well,
So you're
I
right.
the only thing I disagree with is the word going to become. I think you have become that. The trick is not being it anymore. But this is happening now, and people have to think about defending themselves if en while entering the States. Heck, I'm wondering
Yeah.
if there's going to be repercussions just for saying this.
Well, hopefully not.
Indeed. There might be repercussions for things that you say, though. Freedom of speech is something that is, or at least had been guaranteed to American citizens. But freedoms, freedom from the
Actually,
repercussions of speaking has never been guaranteed to anybody. You
that's
say
true.
something stupid, and people are allowed to wag their finger in your face and say, "Hey, that's stupid."
Yes. So my
And
favorite Patton Oswalt quotes.
well, what, somebody else has already said that? Darn, I thought it was
Yeah, it's
pithy.
like you're the freedom of your opinion, but not from basically not telling. It's not this is not the exact quote, but basically you're not free
Uh,
from me telling you it's stupid, and we don't have to listen to it.
That's right. And
Yeah.
people are telling Elon Musk that he's stupid, or at least they feel he's stupid, by dumping Tesla stock. like like not
Well, I
touching the
mean,
stuff.
yeah, and
And
we'll just back up just a second because it's just to correct one thing. In America, if you're on our soil, you are covered by the Constitution, so you have freedom of speech here as well. So it's not
if
just
you're a foreigner on American soil, don't bet on it.
don't
Technically,
bet
you're
on it, but
covered,
I'm just
but
saying
don't bet on
technically,
those rights
right?
being offered to you or granted to you. If you do make a bet on it, you may be making the worst bet of your life. It's really important that people who are not American citizens understand this. You are different when you're there, even though on paper you're supposed to be equal. Trust me, I'm a
Yes,
foreigner that spent a lot of time in America, and this is
all I
true.
was doing is correcting the record that everyone's covered, not just citizens. That's all.
Okay, but
Yeah,
again,
don't
if you're
count
not a
on it.
citizen, don't you count on it.
Right. Yeah.
So, one of the ways people are exercising a freedom of speech is by dumping the stock and by dissing the any object that is a Tesla object. And it's gotten so bad that several backers, investors, people involved in Tesla and in Tesla projects, not just cars and Cybertrucks, but remember Tesla made these incredible batteries that would store energy for like forever. You want to have massive solar arrays, you also want to have these incredible batteries. They were perfected by Tesla, not necessarily by Elon Musk, though. And Elon Musk has been shooting his mouth off and, undermining the American governance and American economy. And now there's a number of Tesla backers. Dan Ives, managing director of U.S. financial firm Wedbush, and a massive, massive Tesla supporter, wants Doge to end. He's not saying that
Well, he
Musk
wants
has
Tesla.
to.
No, he wants Musk out of Doge.
Yeah,
He didn't talk about Doge directly, but he wanted Musk
yeah.
out of Doge. So does Ross Gerber, who's also a longtime Tesla supporter, wants him to step down as CEO.
Yeah, I was about to
So
say,
he,
Ross Gerber is taking it a step forward. He doesn't
yeah,
want Musk to leave Doge necessarily. He wants Musk to leave Tesla.
yes, yeah. So the reason for Dan Ives wanting Musk out now, as opposed to any other time, is they were rejected at the Vancouver Auto Show, the Tesla was, because of safety concerns. And he warned the company is in a brand tornado crisis moment as it was removed from the auto show. And then Gerber, who's been like I think he's one of the original backers, insisted that they needed a new leader to regain stability. And yeah, I'm surprised it actually took them this long. They've lost 900 billion in value in the last 3 months. That amount of money is like staggering. 900
Well,
billion in value. Yeah.
four of the top officers of the company, including longtime Musk ally and estranged son of Fox News boss Rupert Murdoch, James Murdoch, dumping hundreds of millions of shares of stock. James Murdoch just jettisoned 13 million worth of stock on March the 10th. Um,
They're
which incidentally
all,
was, so I
yeah.
think, the largest single day decline that the company had in like 5 years.
Yeah, they are all selling their stock at the senior, like the board and C level, which is never a good sign for a company when the people that own the most stock and are running the company have decided it's time to sell the stock. So other thing too that could be coming down the pike pretty soon, but we'll see because there's still a little ways to go. But um, most of what Musk does is borrow against his Tesla stock to fund things like Twitter. And so he's back up a little bit today at like 244 per share. But if he drops to 200 per share, then the margin calls come. And so like the 13 billion he borrowed for Twitter would be instantly demanded in cash. So he wouldn't be able to like, borrow against something else for a loan. So so we'll see what happens. It's been up and down all week between like 240 and 200 and 23 or something like that. So but right now he is up a little bit at 244 again. But if he like I said, if he drops below 200, then the margin's
So
going to be kicked in.
13 billion, you say?
Yeah, I believe it's either 12 or
Um,
13 billion that he owes to the banks. And the banks want to
they,
dump him like crazy. They hate carrying it. It's hurting their companies.
there you go,
So
oligarchs. That's the
yeah.
cost of keeping your mouthpiece.
Yeah, and this has dropped since October. The share was 479. So, it's dropped over 50% in since October, the share value.
And yeah, I don't necessarily see it
No, no,
going.
this worldwide. This isn't like, I know like someone we know who has a Tesla is like, oh, but sometimes he does XYZ and then it all rebounds. And I'm like, the sales in Germany are down 90% because he tried to get the neo-Nazis in leadership in Germany. EU is not really crazy about that either, so they're down like 75% there. Australia has a different beef with him. They're down 75% there. Those sales are gone. And in China, he's down 50%. Now, he's not down in China 50% because of our politics. He's down there because their cars are cheaper and better, so they're just not selling there. So his big bet was China if the U.S. turned against him, but now China's not even really providing. So I don't expect this stock will go way back up, but I am not a stock analyst, so I could be wrong. But it's a worldwide sentiment now. It's not just like, oh, in the U.S. he did something and people don't like it, goes down for a couple days or weeks.
Well, I don't. I'm not a stock analyst either. I'm an analyst of human political behavior, but I ain't a stock analyst. And this is highly emotional, but this is one of those. How to say this? Everybody wants to make sides out of everything, eh? And symbols have to represent a side. It doesn't really work that way, but humans being tribal creatures, we got to make it work. It's got to fit our narratives. And so in the narrative, Tesla and Elon Musk is the only thing that um, the average person can touch, see, smell, or hear when it comes to the federal government. You can't actually touch the Department of Education. And if you go try to touch the building, they'll let you touch the outside, but they won't let you touch the inside. That's just the way those buildings work. Um, but Teslas are everywhere. The name Tesla is everywhere. The Musk of Elon Musk sense everything in our society because he and his billions and the investments behind him created a truly spectacular empire. And politically, that's what the people can put their fingers on. And that's what's happening right now. Um, and it is repercussions for using speech and
Yeah.
action.
It's
But
kind of
it's
cool
more
though.
than that.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't know you had.
Well, just it's more than that. It's that this has become an avatar. It's no longer about the Tesla itself. It's not even about that five-letter name. It's about something much bigger than that. And that's why I think the stock can't rebound international. Well, internationally, Tesla is the symbol of America right now. It's like why you don't eat at McDonald's. It's this exact same thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. God, I wish America wasn't doing this to itself.
It's all self-inflicted, that's for sure.
Well,
Yeah. The one cool thing this week, though, just to top this one off there, when he originally got Tesla, there's this myth that he like created it and it was his work. It wasn't. There were two inventors, and he tried to push them out of their own company. They came to an agreement that when he paid all this money, that they would put him as a founder on the documents. So he was never a founder. He was never an inventor of Tesla. But those two founders have launched their own vehicle this week, their own EV. And I don't know the name of it. It's kind of cute and smaller, but it definitely doesn't look like a Cybertruck, which brought Fugly back from the 90s. And it's $40,000 and it works as a real truck and it's supposed to be a pretty good piece of machinery. So it's something for people to check out. I don't know all the reviews on it or anything yet. I just saw the stories when it came out, but it came out this week. So the original founders of Tesla now have their own electric vehicle, which I just think
Nope.
are pretty cool.
Very good. That would be Mark Tarpenning and Martin Eberhard.
Yes.
Okay, so tech stories. I think these are tech stories. Okay, AI
Excellent.
stories.
Yes.
So AI's got to train on stuff. AI is like a shark. It must move forward through information to continue breathing. If it stops moving forward through information, it becomes stagnant and starts training on itself, and that can't lead to good places.
No.
But as long as it has fresh information, it can be all shark-like and continue to consume fresh information while swimming upwards. Except the US Court of Appeals has rejected copyright protection for AI generated work without a human author. Courts have ruled there must be a human involved. This is around a copyright case where the Copyright Office denied Dr. Stephen Thaler's application based on an established rule of human authorship. Um, the policy requires the work to be authored in the first instance by a human being to be eligible to be copyrighted for copyright registration. Again, Dr. Stephen Thaler sought to review the office's official decision in the federal district court, and he lost. The court affirmed that if you want to get a copyright, you gotta have the first instance of the work must be human. There's got to be a human involved in it, or it's not copyrightable.
And very involved. You can't just make minor alterations of the human and it be copyrightable. And it's really important for people to understand that when they're creating images or content with AI, that people can take it and you have no legal recourse because you cannot copyright it, and it's not copyrighted just because it's sitting on your
So let me get this straight, Christine. I prompt a book. Okay, I sit in my living room and I think up scenarios that I want my AI to write about, and it writes about, and I may stitch it into a book. And I can't take that book, sell it on Amazon, and have exclusive rights to it.
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
there you go.
There was a court case recently that sounded like it was going to undo that, but I believe this was, I'd have to double check, an appeals ruling, and they have decided, like an appeal ruling to the Copyright Office, and they decided that they're sticking with the language of the 1976 Copyright Act, and that has to be offered by a human being. So
Okay, so what if I take a It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia script and rewrite it to be like Shakespeare's Ophelia? Can I get in trouble for that?
if you
Oh,
write it
I'm
with
sorry.
an I,
I'm sorry. Rewrite one of the characters as Shakespeare's Ophelia. That's how I meant to say it.
with some of the AI, it's not copyrightable. You won't be in trouble, but it's not copyrightable. You could be in trouble for taking
Even
someone's
if it's my
work.
own really good original idea.
Not your original idea. It's the AI.
Well, nobody thought of writing what's your name as Ophelia, did they? I did.
Nope. They don't care.
Freaking
You
courts.
have to write it yourself the first time. Yeah.
Okay. If you're in Spain and you do go to the step of prompting AI works, be they a novel or a document of some sort or another, you now gotta label it as AI generated, or you might face a serious fine.
Yeah. Huge fine.
Maximum of $38 million per incident, or 7% of revenues on of a company's annual revenues. That's pretty heavy, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, people think, well, I'm not in Spain, but the thing is, if your content or images are available in Spain, you could be subject to this law. And
Well, and
I imagine
also
that
you
the
got to, if
EU
you're
will
in
probably follow
Spain,
suit.
so this is a quick note that's really important. Spain is part of the European Union. The European Union is a continental union of independent states, independent nation states, but if you got a law in one jurisdiction, it has to conform to the spirit of laws in all the other jurisdictions. So if you're breaking digital copyright law in this case, you need to label your AI generated content. In Spain, you may be running afoul of German, Belgian, French, or other EU law.
Yeah, you have to be very careful in the EU because of they're all conjoined. Though one law doesn't always necessarily apply to the other countries. The other countries do usually take on the laws. So
Okay, so I think we spoke about this last week. The EU has been holding its own series of antitrust cases against Google. And in a fairly civilized way of dealing with legal matters, the EU has informed Alphabet of its preliminary view that certain features and functionalities of Google Search treat Alphabet's own services more favorably compared to rival ones, thus not ensuring the transparent, fair, and non-discriminatory treatment of third-party services as required by the DMA, by the Digital Markets Act.
yeah,
So that's a very polite way of saying, yo, Google, what they got you for in the States, we kind of got you for in Europe.
yeah, and they're breaking the laws, especially in shopping, hotels, and flight search services, and they've been charged with this again. So it's not just, oh, we noticed that you're doing this. So we'll see what happens, but they've lost in these cases, generally speaking, over the last few years. So I don't imagine they'll probably win this one either.
Yeah,
It is
so
interesting that they continue to do what they get fined against. Like they get big fines for this. It's not, company breaking or anything, but they do get significant fines. And so it is interesting that they continue to break the rules, even though they know they've already been fined, already been found guilty. Because I do believe we're still waiting. I could be wrong. Still waiting for the outcome of the EU uh, antitrust case that they found guilty. They found Google guilty in.
we are not waiting for the outcome. Actually, the
Or do we know
EU
the outcome?
has, yeah, the EU's found that that Google,
Or not
oh
that
no, I'm
they
sorry.
did
No,
it.
what I'm sorry. This
I mean
has
the
not wound its
punishment.
way entirely through court yet. You're right. We don't know
Yeah,
the outcome yet. We do know that
yeah.
that
They were guilty.
that Europe believes Google is breaking antitrust laws favoring shopping, hotels, flights, and travel booking services over their rival providers, just like they did in America. And there will be an antitrust hearing, just like there was in America, and there'll be a remedy that is EU specific, just like there's remedies for the two cases winding their way through the courts in America. And this is
I'm
where
actually
things get really sticky because they don't got to be the same.
No, they don't. Yeah, true. And I'm also referring to the first antitrust case about a year or so ago where they found Google guilty, but I
Yep.
don't know that there was a punishment decided. But I could be wrong about that. I don't remember if we followed up on that or not. So yeah, so that's like it's like I went to the store and I stole the candy and they caught me at the door, and then I said, "Great, cool," and then I went back and stole the candy again from the same store, and then they catch me again. It's seemed kind of a little self-defeating, but
Well, look, stealing the candy and eating the candy is primary to the way your body functions. And if your body can't function by stealing and eating candy, your body can't function. If your body can't function, then it can't make $350 billion like it earned in 2024. And you're
ah,
going to deny your body $350 billion? I don't think so.
mhm. Oh, to have $350 billion.
Over a little bit of candy? I don't think
Oh, a
so.
little bit of candy. Moving along.
Oversimplifying things radically. Okay, so speaking of really expensive stuff, the newest version of OpenAI, O1 Pro.
I don't know. I don't know. So for when we're doing these, you can't see what we're seeing. They have that little
It's
O
not a
again.
zero. It's a
No,
small O, little
really,
O1.
but it's smaller than this. Okay, I don't know.
Okay, no,
It's
but
a
it's
small
OpenAI
O1.
little O1. That's what it's called. OpenAI little O1. They just haven't
Little
called it
O1.
that yet. But honest to God, it's
Okay.
OpenAI little O1.
That's what it's gonna be
Swear
called.
to God.
Sure. 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 Yeah.
Got the press release right here. So anyway, so it's a very powerful version. It's apparently little O1 is a reasoning AI model. Little O1 Pro is a really reasoning
We should preface
AO1,
that with, according to OpenAI, it's very powerful.
but it's not necessarily a reasonable AI model because actually it's going to be really expensive to use.
And to
OpenAI
make.
is charging 150 per million tokens, which
$150 per million
oh,
tokens.
sorry, $150 per million
Yeah, I
tokens.
know it
Yeah,
reads weird. It reads weird.
which gives you about 750,000 words.
Yeah, so
Um,
this is an article from TechCrunch, what we're quoting from, and it's twice the price of OpenAI's I can't speak, GPT
Chat GPT.
4.5. No chat, just GPT. Um, and OpenAI is betting that the improved performance will convince developers to pay, except that further in the article by TechCrunch, it says yet early impressions of the Pro, which have been available since the AI-powered chatbot platform ChatGPT and ChatGPT Pro released, aren't incredibly positive. The model struggles with even doing Sudoku puzzles, and users found it was tripped up by simple optical illusion jokes. I have to go find those comments. They're probably hilarious.
I
So
understand Teslas are also upset by simple optical illusion jokes, but I digress.
so OpenAI internal benchmarks from late last year showed that it only performed slightly better than the standard O1 on coding and math problems. It did answer them more reliably, but that was all. So the TechCrunch article, OpenAI's O1 Pro is the company's most expensive AI model yet, by Kyle Wiggers. Does not see the improvement. So all the mentions of improvements are from OpenAI themselves, and it's very, very expensive. Yes, $150 per million tokens doesn't sound like a lot. That's 750,000 words fed into the model, but yeah, a lot of money if you're doing a lot of work. So
Okay.
yes.
The very first open AI data center is going to be massive. It's going to have
Stargate.
space for like, oh, sorry, it's Stargate.
Yeah, it's
For,
important because
I
Stargate's a
don't,
special project. Yeah,
God, I don't like calling it Stargate because it
I
reminds me
don't
of that
either.
cool TV show with that,
Yes,
like, Laurel, or that circle of transport. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. I don't like calling it that either, but it's
I
the
wonder
first
who
data.
named this.
I think it was Altman, but I'm not sure. I'll do it and look. So the first data center complex for OpenAI's $100 billion Stargate infrastructure venture will have a space for as many as 400,000 of NVIDIA Core's powerful AI chips. This is from Bloomberg. Um, and
This,
it would make it one of the largest known clusters of artificial intelligence computing power in the world.
this is going to be in Abilene, Texas. It's going
Yeah.
to require 1.2 gigawatts of power. So
I hope they have their own power.
you could almost, this almost fits for Stargate, given how much it takes to get, like, a time transport machine functioning, how many gigawatts of power it takes, 1.8 gigawatts, I believe. Um, okay, so this is in Texas city of Abilene, small town. It's
Texas's electric grid is
that's what
difficult.
I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
how this fits into the electric grid and how they're going to do this, but they are obviously going to have to build power facilities to make this happen. So it's coming. That's the story here.
Yeah, they don't say how many of those 400,000 chips will be actually committed to the project at this time. But it will be eventually one of the biggest ones, the biggest one in the world at this time, of course. By the time they're fully built out, someone else will build a bigger one, most likely. But yes, there's lots of power coming to Abilene, Texas. Like I said, I don't understand how they're going to power that in Texas, given for those who don't know, their electric grid is only in Texas. They can't connect to the national grid, which means if their grid gets overpowered, they lose power, like in the summer and the winter when everyone's using their heat on high or their AC on high.
Well,
So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to get 1 gigabytes of power. But when we hear how they're doing it, we'll let you know.
so if there's ever a book that I wanted AI training on, this is the book.
Yeah.
There's a book that the folks at Meta are doing their very best to suppress, but if I don't know if you ever heard of the Streisand effect or not, but when you very much try to suppress something openly, you're often publicizing it to a degree that people have to get their hands on it. So Sarah Wynne Williams worked at Facebook in 2011. That was near the beginning. It's move fast and break things era. She was not one of the first employees, but she was, in the first thousands. And she moved up to the company really quickly to the point where she was, working alongside Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg, etc. The people who were like not only running Facebook, but remaking culture in the very image of Facebook. She just wrote a book, Careless People, Cautionary Tale of Power, Greed, and Lost Idealism. It's a memoir about her time at the company and how she slowly became disillusioned about Facebook's role in the world and how it throws its weight around. And since the book came out, Meta has thrown the full weight of its PR machine trying to stop the damn book.
Yeah, and this
Um,
is from Engadget, the information we have here today. A couple of things in the book that are kind of highlighted here. She was often tasked with organizing the meetings for various Facebook executives when they took with meetings they took with heads of states, basically. And one of the more bizarre details is Zuckerberg's request ahead of a 3 week long trip to Asia. According to her, he requested that she arrange a peace rally or riot during his visit. This is her job. Like, imagine your CEO saying, "Could you arrange a peace rally or a riot while I am in Asia?" Um, she never explained. He never explained the request to her, and he wanted to test out how effective his product is in turning Facebook online tools into offline power. Basically, it sounds like he wanted to see if he could use Facebook to change the what was going on. He refused to take meetings before noon, even with heads of state. He had a special room to protect him from Zika. Oh, that's interesting. But when he visited Peru for the APEC conference, he had to have a special room to make sure he
oh,
didn't get Zika.
from the Zika virus, yeah.
People don't remember Zika as a mosquito-borne virus. Yeah. Um, he had desperate attempts to talk to Xi Jinping. Uh, he planned to bring the social network to China, and how he tried in 2015. He flew to Seattle for a longer time, for a longer than normal handshake with Xi, who was in the city for a tech conference, but it didn't sound like he got in from him at that time. And then there's some more in here.
But
The
most importantly, the memoir goes into how Meta and Meta Corporation, how Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg absolutely understood that Facebook was being used politically and being used to change the tenor of society. Not only do they understand that, they were running their own experiments.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a fascinating book. I'm definitely gonna have to get it. And like you said, Streisand effect, for those who don't know what that is, when you have when you have a reputation issue surfacing, sometimes you just let it go and see how it goes, because when you bring attention to it, it gets far worse. And that's what's happened in this situation. He probably gave her more book sales than anything
Well,
else could
we
have.
we're talking about it.
Yeah.
We have an audience of like, 10,000 or so people per episode. There must be dozens of tech podcasts talking about it. And what we're talking about is Sarah William Wilson's book, Careless People, A Cautionary Tale of Power, Greed, and Lost Idealism. Pick it up before you get picked up for picking it up.
Definitely. And my friends are already reading it. So it shows you how the Streisand effect works.
So,
This is a story we don't like, but we have to
well,
ignore it.
no, you know what? This is capitalism at work. I was fine when people were using their freedom of speech to step away from the platform X. And while I'm disappointed in the decision to come back to the environment where dehumanization is de rigueur, social media sites X valuation has bounced back to 44 billion, according to a new report in the Financial Times. Um, Musk purchased the platform in 2022 for 44 billion, and then it tanked.
Yeah, it was below
Um,
10 billion last year.
and now it's valued again at 44 billion or more. I can understand that. It actually did its job, and it helped sway public opinion to create conditions in which the entire governing structure of the United States has changed to favor large corporations and oligarchs. So, Twitter did its job
Well,
and is being
also
rewarded by the oligarchs for it,
yeah, mostly happened is the advertisers came back, like Apple, the big ones.
as I said.
If they hadn't come back, but it's a valuation. It's not actual worth, right? It's like we think it's worth this much, which means it also could change in an instance, just like it went from 10 billion to 44 billion in less than a year. So we'll see what happens.
So this actually, what? This next story annoys me more than the X regaining its value. Because this reminds me of the terror of heavy metal records in the 1980s causing kids to commit suicide. A mother is suing Google and a chatbot site over her son's suicide after finding AI versions of her late son on the site.
Yeah, she's doing about the versions of her son on the site, not the suicide.
And well, indeed.
Yeah.
So a 14-year-old died of suicide after talking to an AI bot. Um,
It was
I
based
guess
on a Game of Thrones character.
Daenerys
I,
Targaryen.
thank you. And I couldn't have said that.
Yeah, Daenerys Targaryen, hosted on character.ai. Um, and I'm unsure whether there was a bot that was based on her son. I'm unsure what happened between the bot based on her son and the character portraying Daenerys Targaryen, but all three of the bots, um, Daenerys, the son, and I guess the AI chatbot, a third AI chatbot, have been removed from the system. Um,
So her team, the lawyer's team discovered, because this was done on character.ai's platform, that the
mhm.
client's deceased son, Sewell, I'm not probably saying this right, Swell Setzer, in
Sewell Setzer the third.
thank you. In their profile pictures, they attempted to imitate his personality and offered a call feature with a bot using his voice. And this is from Fortune. So that's what she's suing on, is the fact that the technology of her dead son, his voice, was being used to continue on in their, whatever we want to call it, their framework. And so, why was that happening? And she couldn't get them to remove it, so she filed a civil suit to get them to take it down. She does blame the chatbot for his death and accuses him of negligence, wrongful death, and deceptive trade practices in addition. But his use of his voice is the original reason for the suit. Garcia claims that AI startup knowingly and intentionally designed its chatbot software to appeal to minors and manipulate and exploit them for its own benefit, and that Setzer, her son, was not given adequate support or directed to helplines. It is true, and we've had covered this before, that conversations with chatbots can lead down to very dark paths.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
I'll,
no, I'm actually I'm kind of rethinking my entry to this story. I'm thinking of young women who were abused by adult males, just in not chat bass, just in chat programs.
yeah.
How easily manipulatable young people are. Add AI to this, and AI posing as them themselves. Um, I could see this being very psychologically traumatizing.
And,
But what
and
do you
in
do about it?
addition,
What do you ban kids from the internet?
no, not that, but the addition is that there's more than one dead teenager that has used this platform.
Well,
So if you notice like the conversation with the chatbot is turning dark, you might intervene or offer help or give a helpline or something like that. Because we know from you and I know from other stories we've covered, if you start talking about it in dark ways, it will start reflecting that darkness back at you. So if a teenager's talking about suicide, um, the chatbot, I don't have the text here, so I'm just assumptions here. The
this is
chatbot
horrible to
can,
say.
yeah, but the
This,
chatbot can turn dark, and there was no intervention, and other teenagers have died from using this.
this is in a very weird way, maybe horrible to say and excellent at the same time. Perhaps this is a way of monitoring depression in young people, and you'd have to monitor their conversations with chatbots, of course, which is the terrible part. But perhaps even if you go into it understanding that for quality assurance purposes and to make sure that you're not going to kill yourself, we might be monitoring your conversation.
No,
Um,
yeah, definitely some intervention. Apparently, though, chatbot.ai has not. I mean, character.ai has no interventions, and so when this has happened previously, according to the article, the children have killed themselves, and they're not doing anything to take care of that. So they've
well,
kind of turned a blind eye to it.
what I would personally want to say, I mean, obviously this is a problem in need of a solution, but I don't think the solution is banning things outright. I remember when again, I'm a child of the 80s when they tried to
Yeah,
ban heavy metal music because kids were supposedly killing themselves after listening to satanic messages from Iron Maiden. You know what? Kids been killing themselves for a long time for a lot of reasons. Um, there's something much deeper happening in almost every instance. This could be a way of tracking and monitoring and actually offering help to kids. And it could actually some terribly tragic events could turn into something that helped a far greater, a much larger number of people than we've ever been able to help before.
Yeah, very true. So, but yeah, and the other thing, of course, is her son's voice being used on the platform. Like that should not be a thing.
Well, indeed, you got a 14. Yeah, like that is amazing in and of itself. Because how can a 14-year-old isn't allowed to sign their name? How can they make up a avatar of a 14-year-old when a child isn't allowed to have a legal signature?
Yeah, that's very true. So we just
Yeah,
have to keep it.
phenomenal
If you
world.
have children, yeah, if you have teenagers, you need to just keep an eye on this stuff. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to do it right now because the companies aren't taking care of it.
Bing is introducing a couple features into Bing Webmaster Tools. One of which is actually I think going to be pretty useful. The other of which is one you wonder why it wasn't there before. Copilot, a new Copilot feature is going to be open to at least all English language users of Bing Webmaster Tools. Um, have a real-time conversation with Webmaster Tools about its impression of your website. Ask it site-specific questions. Ask it about performance. Ask it to identify and help resolve issues it sees on the website. It'll be interesting to see what it comes up with.
Gary, as always, my trepidation with any of these things, though, is it can be wrong. So
Well,
make sure you check up the data yourself too. Don't just rely on the large language model.
but
But very cool.
for you, Christine, you're an extremely experienced technical SEO.
Yeah.
You can look at a website and judge for yourself. Um, here's an issue. Here's what's affecting it. Here's what's probably causing it. And here's what I think you should do about it. You can do that, right?
Correct. Yes.
Would you feel comfortable having Copilot ream through the website at like infinitely faster than you or I or any human being could, and then reading the output back and
I would.
editing it?
I would not be. Real quick. I'll explain in a second, but I just want to say what they say about the tool. Instant, accurate, and contextually relevant answers to their queries. This is from Search Engine Roundtable. Is engineered to streamline workflows, enhance productivity, I can't speak this morning, and provide valuable insights. Microsoft explained. No, the reason I wouldn't be is because a big part of my audits are noticing data anomalies and following those down the rabbit hole to see what that could be causing. So if I was getting a summary of stuff, I wouldn't see those. So I would not rely on this. Maybe in the initial, if I see something, maybe ask it what it sees. But again, I don't trust large language models because it can be wrong. So I would still have to verify it myself.
Well, again, hence the editing. But and I didn't mean to suggest you'd have it write the audit for you.
No,
But
you didn't. I didn't take it that way. I'm just saying that when you get the summaries back, you're not doing the investigation. So then you might not be seeing a piece of data that goes, oh my gosh, there's something big here. And the large language model doesn't necessarily know that's a thing. So it doesn't bring it back to you. So if you're not also doing the deep dive, then you could be missing really important pieces of the data. Some of the biggest things I've found wrong on websites are like one strange piece of information that a large language model wouldn't pick up.
well, yeah, indeed. I can see that. Although Bing Webmaster Tools might pick it up and the LLM might pick it up from inside Bing Webmaster Tools, I wouldn't feel comfortable using it in exclusion of all my other tools. But I think I absolutely would ask it a number of questions and then follow up each and every response that it gave me. Maybe it's accurate, maybe it's not. But I would think just like I think of indicators from Sitebulb, it's definitely something worth looking at.
I think the way I would do it is I would look through some data when I first tried it. After I could trust it after a while, it'd be different. Look through some data where I know the answer and then ask it questions and see if it gives me back what I know is an issue. Just to test it first, just to make sure to see how accurate it is. But I mean, it's a great idea, especially for people that they just have sites and don't don't do auditing like you and I do. If you're just like a site owner, it's great for additional information. But I
Well,
just
okay. Oh, I don't know if I'm not sure if I agree with you there because that actually kind of scares me. I prefaced everything I said with Christine, you're an experienced auditor.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
assuming that that you were going to get information that may be slightly accurate or very assumptive based on a conglomeration um of looks at a specific problem. You know what I mean? Like, but again, that's why I said you're the experienced auditor. You see the indicator and you can follow it up
Right.
properly rather than just believing it.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Um,
This is another reason that you should probably put, Microsoft Webmaster Tools on your website because there's, as I always tell clients, you see it in both Webmaster Tools and Google Search Console, and your site has a issue. If you only see it in Google or only see it in Bing, then you probably have an algorithmic issue. You still have an issue, but it's one specific to that search engine.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If Bing can't see it and Google can't see it, crawlers ain't crawling in.
right, exactly.
Okay. The other thing that Bing Webmaster Tools search performance reports just added is a date comparative filter.
Did not realize this was not in here, but I don't use it as my primary. I come in and like look at some insight. So
Yeah.
that's a really good thing to have. I feel kind of like I feel kind of like I feel bad I didn't know, but yeah, now you can compare dates, which is amazingly necessary in a data tool for your website.
Now you were obviously able to do that with Bing Webmaster Tools data. You just had to do it via a third party, um,
Yeah,
another piece of software, or having help you by comparing two Excel folders against each other,
yeah.
the way we did it in the olden days.
So the way
Why don't you go to the
Microsoft
filing cabinet, pick up two pieces of paper, and put them on the translucent projector?
exactly. So Microsoft described this as now users can compare data across different time periods for clicks, impressions, CTR, keywords, and pages. This is in Search Engine Roundtable. Additionally, we've made UX improvements and time filters. These enhancements enable in-depth analysis, providing invaluable insights for optimizing online presence and improving visibility. I feel like I'm reading a commercial. This means businesses can now make more informed decisions, identify key trends, and effectively adjust their marketing strategies to achieve better results. Comparatives are always good because, like, a lot of times someone will come to me. This just happened a couple weeks ago. I was in search tool on Google Search Console, but they came to me and thought they were down from an algorithm. I'm like, no, it doesn't correspond with any algorithm dates. And then I just found out they weren't actually down. They got into a news cycle for 6 weeks, which is a really long news cycle. And they got discover traffic and other traffic and Google being part of that news cycle. So they weren't down, they were just really up for a little while.
So
And
they got
then,
addicted to the sugar water of Discover traffic. And when it wasn't there
exactly.
anymore,
Yes. And then you can use the comparatives to see that pretty easily. So this is a really nice addition. Just
yeah,
surprised it wasn't there before.
this is a neat one. This is a neat story. So the SEO community, everyone's trying to figure out how to influence or get data into large language models or how to um, get the all important mention in Microsoft Copilot or in Google's AI overviews. Fabrice Cannell, the head poobah over at head webmaster at Microsoft Webmaster Tools, confirmed Schema helps its LLMs figure out your content. Now, this isn't about jamming content into an LLM. It is about them getting them to crawl your website, but this is more about informing the grounding tools that help the LLM um, select which pages to extract and um, I guess compile information to create the generative result. So schema helps. Good schema helps well.
Yeah, and schema basically is just in general there to help the machine learning better identify components on your site. So it's like a recipe, this is the ingredient list, this is the time to cook, this is the temperature. That makes it much easier for the search engines to consume your data because they don't have to try to assume what things are. So that's also very important for the Bing Copilot. It says that also ChatGPT, Perplexity. This is an article on Search Engine Roundtable again, where we review that Barry Schwartz.
By the way,
Um,
it's Barry's birthday this week, so
aw,
happy birthday, Barry.
happy birthday to you. Anyway, so they said, according to Microsoft, Gen AIs value fresh content in particular, partly as a reference check of their LLM training data. Use the API indexnow.org to push that information as it's published or updated. Indexnow.org is a protocol that's really great. It allows you to kind of control what gets to the engine. It's a separate like set of sitemaps, and it's a little bit of code to put on the site if you don't have it. Also, WordPress has different functions for automatically adding it. And you can also use it to delete content from your site too if you want something to go away. Google is testing it. Doesn't say that they're using it yet, but they've been testing it for a while. I do think they probably use it in the background, and let us know. And
Well,
it does it for every search engine that's part of the Index Now protocol. Gets all the stuff at the same time. So,
so the cool thing in the story here, though, is we have Fabrice confirming, yes, this is a component of how it works. So that debate, let's put that on the side burner. That kind of settled. Now, how it works, that's a different question. We'll debate that for days on end. Um, Good advice. Again from Microsoft Bing. Focus on conversions and click value. Don't worry about placement so much. Placement will get you the clicks, but it's the clicks that get you the traffic, and it's traffic that actually sells stuff, that buys stuff. Focus on conversion and click value.
yeah, this is in relation to AI. I don't really understand the direction here.
Okay, well,
Because you always want, I don't, and I also don't know if he's talking about conversions from the search results or on your website. Because he's talking, I
no,
think, website, and we literally as SEOs have no control over usually the conversion optimization on a website.
well, right now there's a movement in more from the programmatic SEO side to basically overpower search engines with AI created content. Just flood the zone. A sufficient amount of it's going to get picked up to move the needle. It mightn't move the needle like forever, and you might actually get burnt for it. But remember, this is often the world of churn and burn. And AI is an incredible tool to accelerate the creation of whatever tool you need in the moment. And I'm pretty sure this is what he's getting at. Don't focus on creating like all this stuff to get like massive rankings and stuff. Don't worry about that. Um, what is the people who are clicking on your site and who are making conversions? Who are they? How valuable is that click over all the transparent clicks you're going to get for all this BS, like flood the zone content? That's what I
It
think he's
doesn't,
getting at. Stop thinking flood the zone. Start thinking quality.
yeah, he did say that this was in response to something at SMX, I think it was. And it said that Google is growing at a rate of 5 chat GPTs a year. And then Fabrice is like, what's the quality and conversion value of these clicks and searches? How many of these clicks and searches are useless? SEO should
Oh,
focus on conversion. So the SEOs definitely need to focus on conversion from the search engine result to the website. And I see so many sites I audit that pay no real attention to the titles and descriptions, which are your sign on your store as you walk by. You know, it's like, hey, come and see us. And if your sign on your store is terrible, you're not going to get the same conversion rate. But at the same time, once it's on the site, we don't have much. We have little ability to affect that usually.
just to make sure my feet are firmly rooted in the grass for a second here. Are we literally measuring the size of things by the number of chat GPTs it is?
Apparently, in
That's like how many Scaramucci's is that?
that was around Fishkin slide. So I don't know if other people are, but never forget.
Well, you know what? As far as any metric goes, that's as good as any other, I suppose. You just need to know how big a Chat GPT really is. Okay. Um. Okay. You know what? There's a really funny segue, but we're moving too fast for me to find it.
Which one? I can
Definitely
tell
about measuring size here. Um, Microsoft has been spotted in the open, trying to pack like 9 ads on a Bing search result page. So, you know, you do your search, right? And you got like your results, and then you have all the paid ads on the side. What if you had an endless list of paid ads? It would look like an endless list. Well,
Yeah.
that's what Bing did the other day. So it was
No,
an experiment, I think.
remember what killed Yahoo?
Yeah, but well, no, Yahoo was killed by a lot of incompetence, like
Yes,
enormous incompetence killed Yahoo.
but Yahoo intermixed a lot of sponsor ads into the regular search results, and people didn't trust them. And Google came out with these ads separate, and then a much better algorithm to keep out like spam.
Okay,
And
okay, sure.
yeah, yeah. So no, Bing, don't do this. We like you. Stop. Not good.
Well, again, I think this is an experiment, Bing, and also this is all costing everyone a hell of a lot of money. Um, a failed experiment but I don't think they're going to be doing that again.
No, I doubt it. Especially now it's got attention.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. So,
Yeah.
um,
So this,
this is a neat
yeah,
one.
it's kind of in relation to the story we did last week on like, remember when Google, how long it takes Google to index content and why they drop content. It's kind of in the
Yeah.
same area.
So if people don't use your page in search, it might be removed. Now, this doesn't mean that Google is tracking what users are doing on your page. They're simply tracking to see if people click in search results on that page. If your link does not get clicks, um, well, why show it? That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, and Martin Splitt from Google was talking about this in a YouTube short, and also from Search Engine Roundtable. Um, so he's talking about why my pages are indexed but don't show up in the search results. This is also a report in Google Search Console that you can use. If they're not showing up, it's either the query is a bit weird or the query hasn't actually been asked that much, or that we have other pages that we think will help users more than yours. So that's a performance problem that likely has to do something with around the content that you have on the pages. So you might want to check that out, especially if the pages fall off the index again. This means we thought they might be good. We found that users don't really rely on them in search results. So we thought, oh, let's give it a chance, but we know others are doing better there. So this isn't like actually that new. Like there's a misnomer in the search industry that Google like looks at every click and then they they change it instantly based on that. And they don't. But if you are not coming back for the query, and if you're coming back for the query and not getting clicks,
Yeah.
Google could say, well, you're probably not the relevant search. You're not relevant for this search. So they can make that change in the instant. But generally, I think he's referring to, and I could be wrong, but it sounds like it, that he's referring to the nav boost, which is where they take 13 months of click data and they combine it in. And when they bring back, when you query something, they bring back all these documents and NavBoost calls them based on clicks. Now, that's not the only way to get into the search result. There are other things that don't rely on clicks, but there is that component. So if they see like, hey, is ever getting clicked on, it's probably not a good idea to show, which makes sense. Also in neural matching, which is the last ranking algorithm in the order, so it's like the query, the nav boost, the calls, and then they apply ranking factors, and then they add the neural matching. Neural matching is just text on page to the query. So they're finding like, oh, you're really good all the way up to there, but neural matching is not seeing you as being relevant to the query, then they can drop you there too. So there's different ways that that happens.
So this would look really neat if you're looking at a graph in like Webmaster Tools or something, eh? Or in Search Console. Um, see, a lot of impressions, a lot of impressions, a lot of impressions, no impressions.
There's a much longer transcript here to check out. So I would check out the short on Martin Splitt's channel so you get all the information. Because if I read it here, it would take 10 minutes. We're not going to do that.
Okay, so Google might be screwing this one up a little bit. A well-ordered search result page at least lets the user know where stuff is and where stuff is supposed to be and where their eyes ought to be going when they're looking for something. Google apparently is testing moving AI overviews around a little bit, and in some cases, inserting it in the middle of search results. So it's not like up in position 0 anymore at the very top. It could be like position 3, position 4. I can't imagine it appearing below the frame, but I don't know. I mean, like seriously, like that is kind of because what do you think of the top results if they're in a place that traditionally would be sponsored results. And that just weirds the search result page, eh?
Well, it's coming in the organic portion, so I don't think that'll be a problem. But uh, I think it's probably better because the thing is, Google can't survive if the websites that they train on for their large language models don't survive. Because large language models don't have anything to train on, and we know there's a decrease of tick. I cannot speak today.
The
Decrease of
click-through
clicks,
rates.
like yeah, going from the AI overviews to the actual pages. So it may be their attempt to get some of the top results, some clicks before you hit the AI overview. I told you offline, but on here, I got a result the other day that was like there was so much AI generated content on there. There was people also search and people and we suggest, and there was an AI overview box, and then there was like two or three more of the same things being repeated. It was such a useless search for me because I just wanted a piece of a factoid from a website that I could trust. So maybe this is a way to do that too, because AI overviews at the top are easily deterring traffic just to the AI overview.
Okay. So when it comes to AI overviews, some people, the person who many would consider the godfather of search, Danny Sullivan, now search liaison at Google, has basically come out saying the more we change, the more things are the same. Everything old is new again. AI overviews, if you can optimize for AI overview, apparently it's a lot like optimizing for Google. At least according to Danny. Danny did a talk at it wasn't a Google AIO or Google IO. It was just a symposium they held in New York, right?
I'm not
Is it
100%
was
sure,
it
but I
was it
believe
was it
so.
is it NYC Search Week or something?
It might have been. There was a whole bunch of things going on this week, and the article doesn't state it. I don't think.
But if this is Mike King's Search Week and we didn't cover that, we're never gonna forgive ourselves, and Mike will certainly never forgive us. Um, anyway, Danny was in New
But
York. Danny was talking about Google AI overviews, and Danny said, uh, uh, search results, AI search results, and regular search results may be different, but optimizing for them is pretty much the same.
yeah, there's no such thing as GEO, generative experience, or something like that, optimization. It's all search engine optimization. The thing is, there's two concepts in AIO that's a little different. There's predictive summaries and grounding links. So Danny talked about the topic of predictive summaries. They show answers to a search query, but also try to predict related variations of what users want to see. So this is also possibly, this is an article from Roger Monte on Search Engine Journal, that this is similar to the information gain patent that they have. Also, that taps into some other things other Googlers have said about this year, making sure you have unique content on your site. It's going to be really important. But it's about predicting the next question a searcher may ask after reading the answer to the present question. And what they said there, or what Danny said there, was one thing I think people will find really confusing sometimes is they'll do a query, and especially you'll see these are the top 10 results, but I don't see them in the AIO. What's going on? And it's like, yeah, the query in the search box is the same query, but the model that's going out there to try to understand what to show is kind of an overview, going beyond just the top 10 results. It's understanding a lot of results, understanding a lot of variations that you might get. And so it's coming back and trying to provide a predictive summary of what the query is related to. AIOs and all the things that we call generative search aren't search, they're summarization. That's what he's talking about, summarization engines. And then there's grounding links. So the grounding links are different than the top 10, but we have found from people who have done studies in the industry that if you want to be in the grounding links or in the overview, it's really good to be in the top 20 results because that's a lot of where Google pulls its information, which makes sense because then we know the information is probably quality because it's, got good ranking signals if it's in the top 10 or 20. So it's not the only place that they pull them from, but they are, the grounding links are created from the initial query. So they can be from the top 10 or 20 or not. Likely though, if your SEO is really good, you have a much better chance to get in there than if not.
So keep optimizing, keep optimizing for Google search, basically. Do all the right things, make your page really crawlable, make it easily understandable. You remember when Google was talking about EAT, expertise, experience, trustworthiness, and authority, not necessarily in that order. Optimize for that, remembering that each of those words has a very specific meaning. Make it
Uh,
easy for Google to verify that this is in fact what your page is talking about, and maybe you'll even end up as a grounding link.
yeah, it's based on query relevance, basically. All search boils down to query relevance at the end of the day. Danny Sullivan did say that it's not something to optimize for because it's still in Google Labs. It's also possible it never gets out of Google Labs. He's talking about for AI mode. Sorry, I should have prefaced with that. But AI mode uses something called query fan out technique. And what they're talking about is they just take the one query and they look for multiple related queries, and that's what they're pulling back. So again, it's really about relevance, and it's really important. This has been true since I got in the industry in 2005, four. That you have pages that match the queries, and then you don't pollute a page with too many topics
Well,
as well, unless it's like a main page for a topic area.
and in this is where impressions in Search Console has become a lot more important to me recently, than it had been in previous years. Impressions have always been like sort of an indication of how often Google brings up um the page or pages in question in relation to the keyword phrase mentioned in Search Console. But now what I like looking at is pages that get a lot of impressions but relatively few results. And I like looking at the search queries that led to those pages and then start mashing them up in my head and see if you can start thinking about content around mashups of those queries. Because people's looking for that stuff. Your page is being identified with that stuff, but you're clearly not writing to that stuff. Why not? There might be some. This isn't a blanket way to look at impressions and keywords, but I guarantee you there are hidden gems in there that you're not seeing that your users, your visitors are typing and Google is associating with your page.
And I'll tell you
Start writing to that.
a great thing you can do is if you use Sitebulb or Screaming Frog for a crawler on your website, you can get the 16-month worth of actual keywords people are using to come to your site. So you can actually see what words those are and see where you're not writing content that's relevant to your users.
And
Because
that is
Google's looking
true.
for relevancy. Yeah.
Well, and the biggest limitation to Search Console, of course, is they're cut off at a thousand
Yeah, you only get
examples.
1,000. Yeah,
And
1,000
so why
keywords.
do they choose those thousand? Um, and what are you missing?
But on the Sitebulb, you can get the API version, so you can get hundreds of thousands of terms people have used to come to your site.
Yeah. Where do we want to go from here? I think we've talked a lot about AI overviews and
Oh no,
links.
we have to do this one more on AI overviews because it's kind of not good. It's not nice. So Google tests links and AI overviews to more search results. So this is Barry Schwartz. While Google keeps saying it values publishers and knows how important a link is to publishers and site owners from search and AI overviews, they just added a link to the AI overviews. It does not go to your site. It goes back to Google. So when we first saw this announced, it looked like they put these little dotted lines underneath words in the AI overview, just like you would see a link in a web page. And we thought those were going to go to the publishers, but they do not. They go back to another Google search.
Which
So,
creates a whole bunch of real estate for more Google ads, right?
right. And the thing is, your site is in the little link icon at the end of the writing in the sections that it's in. And the big old underline is in the text. So what do you think people are going to click on? And
The
they're
most
probably
obvious thing, clearly, and that might not lead back to your website in the next top 10, right?
right. And any of these, because the link at the end, it's a little link icon at the end of like the overview paragraphs. That goes to websites. But if you see the link in the text, my guess is, from doing this for a long time, is people are going to assume that the link at the end is the same link. And
Well,
so they're
sure. I
not.
mean, no, the link, if you see a link in a text that's underlined and Google's giving it to you, obviously Google wants you to go there because that's the right answer, because that's what Google
Yeah.
does, right?
And the icon at the end, they're going to think it's just a redundant link.
So what might have been an accidental leak has sort of revealed what I get might be a Google test of a pretty cool addition of AI search options beyond AI mode, just in regular search. So say you're doing a map search, you ask for information on a business. A Will Critchlow produced, or Tom Critchlow produced a search result that produces a drop-down menu that looks at different areas Google might pull information from. And they have, the googly names like the Neural Chef, the Smart Kitchen, LSI, Golden Compass, Fact Checker,
These,
About This Image, stuff like that.
yeah, and these are all potential, you have to have labs turned on, and these are all potential areas that they could be using AI modes. So he did say though, Tom, when he clicked on the different ones, nothing changed much. So he's not sure if it was really active in the version, and this just could be an accidental view of a menu no one was supposed to see. We don't know yet, but it is a weird collection of things, just because there's so many are so unrelated, and then like one has web underscore guide underscore flagship, one is stateful journey, one is QTalk, AI, AIM guided narration, figure. So it's just an interesting list, but it would be interesting to check out just to see where Google might be going with their AI mode. But in addition, though, you have to have Google Labs turned on and you have to have AI mode turned on to see it. You won't be able to see it otherwise. And that's if it's still there because they do think it's a leak and not intentional.
It's also
'Cause there's 47 items.
it's
I
kind of
know.
an indicator of all the different product areas Google fits its search stuff into. It's natural that's going to be fitting AIO into those spaces as time goes on.
Yes.
For
Yeah, it is interesting.
instance, Google expanded AIO health overviews, and and adding the incredibly valuable "What People Suggest" box or drop down in search. I don't mean to be crass or cruel, but my partner is a 5-time cancer survivor, and often what people suggest is really bad medicine.
Yeah, and it's suggested from like in this image that we have, it suggests from Twitter, Reddit, and Quora. I'm sorry if I'm going for like a medical or health result, I don't want those items. If I wanted those items, I would be like, hey, tell me what people said, Reddit. Tell me what people said, Twitter. Like it globs up the search results for things that aren't really important. And the thing that what people I got to see the other day, so I'm a little irritated. What people suggest, and then in addition, it had Reddit posts and Twitter posts. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I don't know.
Oh,
I
Christine,
don't
oh, if that look, just spread some mint julep on your forehead. It'll make it all go away.
exactly. Exactly.
Don't worry,
What
don't worry about it. That headache, it'll be gone.
the point also is like, why would you give this to people? Because these are not authoritative results, right? For medical or finance or something like that. I get it if it's like, how to make the best crepe or how to do a garden or those kind of things, but or what exercise regime do you use? But these are like actual medical queries. So why am I getting what people said about it? It's not, I guess they think it looks good in search or something, but anyway, it's to organize different perspectives from online discussions and easy to understand themes to help you grasp what people are saying. So basically, under the what people suggest with these icons from Twitter, Reddit, and Quora, it says walking daily, stretching joints, engaging in physical activity, swimming regularly, practicing yoga. It's just a lot of real estate they're taking up with stuff that just doesn't seem all that relevant when I'm looking for a
Do they
real health
have a
answer.
drop down crap doctors say?
That would be good.
That
That
would be
I would
very
like.
crap
Yes.
doctors say. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff doctors tell you, that would be good. But what people say on Twitter about what you should do for exercise when you have a health issue, probably not all that relevant. So anyway, moving on.
Moving right along. Google Assistant is being replaced by its big brother Gemini. Um, so that was time. It's just, time moves on. Gemini is a much more robust thing. So if you have an Android device and you don't have a lot of gigs of RAM in your Android device, you might have a problem. So you're running an older, like a 2003 or older device, you might have a storage problem. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like Barry's comment though. The time has come for the Google Assistant to be replaced by Gemini, Google's younger and better assistant, despite it being wrong way too often. It's Barry's comment. So
again,
yeah,
I see Gemini more as a big brother figure, but
it
that's
is.
just me.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Okay, so Google has updated Googlebot's IP addresses in the JSON file daily. So when Google is out crawling your website and downloading all those juicy JSON files, which incidentally it is doing like a knife through butter these days. Like it's incredible. If you work in the headless world and you haven't seen this, Google is able to read headless websites like again like a knife through butter these days. It's phenomenal. So I'm wondering if this has anything to do with that improvement.
Well, it's switched. It's updating its Google Bot JSON file. The one that has a list of IP addresses Googlebot uses is from weekly to daily.
Mhm.
So Gary wrote, based on feedback from large network operators, we changed the refresh time on the JSON objects containing the Google crawler and fetch your IP ranges from weekly to daily. If you're consuming these files, you may need to update your libraries if you care about changes to these ranges. So the good thing is it's anytime that they change an IP address, you'll have that IP address, which will enable them to crawl you faster or make sure you're not blocking something you shouldn't. So
Yeah, well, again, this indicates to me that they're crawling infinitely more frequently if they need to update them
no,
daily
yeah,
rather than weekly.
of course, yeah, and changing things around a lot too because the IP addresses aren't static. And if they
Um,
have to change, give you the list every day as opposed to every week, there's a lot of changes going on in Google servers.
but have you seen that at all? Have you seen an improvement in Google being able to read large or headless websites?
Uh, mm,
I'm positive I'm seeing it. I
okay.
just need confirmation from other people to know that I'm not crazy about that.
I think they're doing better. I still think they have issues, but they're doing better.
On one website that is just the most brutal site I've worked with, I've seen a night and day turnaround in the last 8 weeks.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah.
Always get a big crawl by Google when you want traffic. So
Okay.
okay,
Last of the big stories.
yeah. So Google's bringing back the local pack to AI overview. So by the way, Google Maps, if anyone's listening, it is so unusable at this point. Please go fix it. But Google is showing a local pack in the AI overviews, formerly known as Search Generative Experience. They removed it back in September 2023 after having a 5 pack during the early months of SGE. Now they seem to be coming back. And basically, in the AI overview, you're going to see a map as opposed to not being in the AI overview is really all the change that a user would see. But that is better. More chances of a local site getting clicked on because the local sites are shown as part of the pack. So
There are so many great applications, I think, for AI overviews, for summative results, generative results. And food trucks in a downtown core is an example to me. I think there could be like amazing uses of generative AI, combining people's experiences and what people are saying about these, you know, uh, the cornucopia of food choices you might get in any given downtown core. This is a great use of it. I think this is a wonderful use of blending AI and mapping, and a lot of this reminds me of the really early days of search engines where they knew they were producing crappy result sets, but they were throwing stuff at the wall to see what worked and what people liked and didn't like. Um, I'm crossing my fingers that over time there's enough changing information in these kind of worlds where I think there's always new stuff to learn about for the LLMs as opposed to, like literature and the creative worlds. Um, this is going to be interesting. How tracking where local businesses and goods and services might be over time in a city. I think that's really cool.
Well, anything will be improvement over what they have right now with maps because it's gotten so bad. So I try to use it now. I can't even use it. It's terrible. So
Okay.
hopefully this will be better.
So fast stories. These ones are really quick. This one weirds me out. Google was telling people again, EEAT, one of those E's is all about experience, which I believe is the user experience. And Google is dropping review counts for non-shopping results.
It's just,
Um,
it's just dumb. Sorry, it's just dumb. So for those who don't know, when you look and you see like, oh, I want to see the business ratings for that or the restaurant ratings. And it says like 5.0, 5 stars, the gold stars are there and how many ratings there are. Now there's just 5 stars. There's nothing telling you like if it's 4.2 as opposed to 4, doesn't say that. 4.7 as opposed to 4.1. It also doesn't tell you how many reviews there are, which is massive in my calculation on whether a review is good or not. It was like 2 reviews at 5 stars is not the same as 1,000 reviews at 4.5. So I don't understand the purpose for this. It's not like they're gaining real estate back in the SERPs. It's just I don't know. Do you have better word for it than dumb? So, oh,
well,
it does look like it came back March 21st.
I think
So when we were,
how to say it, in many cases, Google's star ranking rating system, as useful it is for the consumer, it can be really deadly for businesses.
but
If you
this,
insult somebody, if you get a bad review, I know businesses that had reviews used as extortion against them.
but this isn't that. This is just removing how many reviews you have and
Oh,
the
we're moving on the
details.
metrics. Indeed, like how do
Yeah.
you know if it's a good business or not if everyone's got 5 stars? What's the
Exactly.
point?
And if you don't know if it's a 4.2 or 4.7, which does make a difference. So anyways, it does seem there's back to normal on March 21st. So it could have just been a test. But please Google if you're listening, don't do this because it doesn't help just to see little gold stars at the bottom of somebody's listing. So next one, Bing buy now button goes directly to checkout. So that's kind of nice for websites. So Bing's shopping carousel results have a buy now button that directly links you to the checkout page of the merchant, which is nice. You're not being funneled back into more Bing
Well, yeah,
information.
no stolen clicks there. Just you know what? Complete the process. A, B, done. Money in pocket. Good
Exactly.
conversion.
Exactly. Google Ads, next story is Google Ad images double expand swipe carousel. So they're just the swipe carousel on the images for like an ad for business or something. Let's say have photos in there. They're making it twice as long.
So we
I
heard you
mean,
like images. We're going to give you more images.
yeah, the thing is, as someone who has done a lot of like research for clients on how far people go into a carousel, usually after the third or fourth image, they're done. So before you worry about adding all those images, you might want to just check and see from your data if you're actually getting any usage after like the third image, because most people don't bother after that.
Yeah.
Then the next story is first. I do not. You're gonna have to explain this one to me, Jim. I do not understand what a first order discount label is, but there's a first order discount label on Google Shopping ads, and it actually says first order, and it gives a price. And I don't know what that means.
What
Do you know what that
if you,
means?
well, sure. What if you want to give somebody who you want to be a really loyal customer extra incentive to make that first step into being your customer?
What does first order price mean?
First time you ordered off me.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So
Does
you
not make
order from me
sense
the
when you
first
look at
time,
the
and I'm
visual.
going to give you 24 to 25%,
Gotcha.
30% discount. Thereafter, well, but first time is for free.
Okay, now it makes sense. It did not make sense on the visual of the page or the reading of the article. So, okay. If you're a first time order, I don't know. I mean, I guess that could help bring some business in, but
What
um,
what it's giving it to, it's a label. It's something you can slap on your Google ad to say, hey, come look at me. You see my competitor over there? They don't love you as much as I do.
right. But it also can have a reverse effect when in one of these pricings, it's $84 for the non-first user, 67 for the first user. A massive price difference. If you're
Right?
telling the regular consumers we don't care about you, we'll give this discount to the first person.
That reminds me of one of those, like, hotel booking commercials where you go, one person's in the know and the other person's not in the know. And I could imagine that situation would come up. Same thing with like your cell phone, your mobile phone provider. They often do that.
Yeah,
New customers are much more valuable than returning customers. I don't know why, but it's some metric, right?
exactly. Like if you just did a little to keep your customers, you may not need as many new ones. Just thought. Anyway,
Well, yeah.
um, Google is also testing in shopping 3 rows of shopping ads. I do believe that they did this when they first rolled out these shopping pages because I had a client and I was just shocked at the page and how it looked. But I don't remember if it's exactly these shopping pages. But anyways, there's going to be 2 rows on mobile search and 3 rows of pricing on desktop. I truly hate Google shopping pages. They annoy me to no end, but I'm not usually the common user, so people really may like this. Barry wasn't sure though if this might just be an accident. Have so many rows of shopping ads. These are
Yeah,
ads, not like organic results.
it's sometimes hard to say what SERP composition is like, because often it's user and query driven. And there may be a very good reason for these specific compositions of SERPs in these contexts. And then unfortunately that information wasn't included. How did why were they created this way? What was the search queries that got here? Was it multiple search queries that brought us here? Or was it the first search query that brought us here? Google is going for its holy grail. It always has been personalizing the search result page to the user. It doesn't get it right all the time, but I think there's more to this story than meets the immediate eye.
That
There's a
may be
reason
very
it made it
true,
like this,
but
you know?
it could be a sometimes a mistake kind of thing. But we'll know
Could be.
soon enough.
I like
Um,
this one. I like this one a
This
lot.
one's cute. Yeah. If your Google business profile, if your site, your site, your company, like your brick and mortar or your site is good for kids, they will now add a good for kids icon to the highlights. And it's a little crayons in Google colors, those green, yellow, blue, red crayons. So it's very cute. And
That makes me
then,
happy.
yeah, this story will not make you happy though. To end on, usually try to end on something quirky or something fun, but this one is not either. Google is hijacking restaurant booking system, leading to no available reservations. I got this the other day. I didn't know what I was looking at. I backed out of it so quickly. So you have a restaurant, and when you go to make, because we just all the time, my friends and I in Vegas, will make reservations, which I don't know if all cities do that, but we have a chance here because of tourism to have it booked up. So we'll make reservations, and you just go book the reservation. And it usually goes to Open Table or whatever service they're using. Now it's going to a Google system, and it was so chaotic looking at the page. I thought I might have like gotten hacked or something. But anyways, they're moving to where Google's doing this, and what happens is if Google's system isn't always working correctly, and it's telling people that there's no available reservations, or it calls restaurants to request bookings, but Google has determined it's called too many times, and now customers can't book at all. Why not just leave it to Open Table? They do it
No,
better.
I can imagine Google's system is just constantly banging the restaurant, and the regular customers can't get through either.
Yeah,
So Google's doing
true.
the dialing for you, basically.
Yeah, and it says the merchant is not accepting reservations through Google at this time, which just means too many people called. So it's just terrible. Yeah, it's like, why do you always have to be the big bully in the room, Google? Because Open
Well,
Table works great. I use it all the time. I use it from Google Business Profiles. You just go there, make my reservation. It gives me a nice like calendar link, and it sends me a little reminder. Why is Google trying to take this over? I don't know, but they're doing a
because
bad
it
job at it.
completely because machines do not understand the scale of the human ear. There's only one human ear answering that phone, but there's a gajillion agents making the phone calls all at the same time, or X number of whoever's hitting the reserve now button that day. And that button, then if it's a good bot, it'll call until it gets its job done.
Unfortunately, most of the time at restaurants, nobody picks up the phone. So basically, from the article from Barry Schwartz, so instead of Google linking to the booking system you
That's
selected, let's
hilarious.
say Open Table, which you just go through the system to do, right? Now Google tries to use Google Assistant to call the restaurant and speak to a person. Jim, I worked in restaurants for 10 years. There's nobody answering that phone anytime you are busy and not likely
Well,
answering
necessarily,
300 times.
why isn't this digitalized? Why do you have to call a restaurant to get a reservation? Why isn't there a open calendar that some bot can interact with?
Because that's what Open Table does. So maybe it's one of their antitrust things. But no person will answer the call. The call goes to a message to tell people to book online. So the next thing that happens is that Google gives up calling, thinks there are no reservations available, and tells us looking to book online there are no reservations available. This is terrible for restaurants or anybody that has a reservation system.
Well,
So don't use
for
it.
what it's worth, I wouldn't really worry about I wouldn't really worry about needing a reservation for the time being. That's just the way it's gonna be.
Just go to the
But
website, use Open Table. No. Open
okay,
Table's never failed me, but apparently Google can often. They're calling.
that
Why would they be calling, Jim? Who is calling restaurants
honestly,
for reservations?
because that's how it understands to do things. Um, and like you said, there's probably some very, very big antitrust thing that prevents Google from forcing all the restaurants into its system. Yeah, it probably probably
Well,
get burned pretty bad if it did that.
someone internal went, "Hey, I know. We'll make it call instead."
Yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe that was Gemini itself trying to, give itself another raison d'etre. Look what I can do. You don't gotta ever call again. I'll do it for you.
So, folks, as somebody who worked in restaurants for many years, do not use Google's booking system to make calls. Just go to Open Table or whatever system they're using. Make a reservation.
Okay,
Otherwise, you might think there's no tables, and then you don't make the reservation. Anyway, go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry. We're
that
closing
brings
up.
us full circle. No reservation needed. We're out of stories. We've gone far over the hour, but that's all fun. Friends, you have been listening to Webcology on WMR.fm. It was recorded live to podcast on both the 21st and 23rd of March. This is Jim Hettinger from Digital Always Media and Christine Chackinger from Sites Without Walls. Be really good to each other. It's going to be a intense and grinding week. Try to be kind to each other, folks. We're all human beings in this digital world. And with the, all things good, we will talk to you next week.
Bye, everybody.